Okay, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to upset a few people, and I am when I say this, but I'm going to talk about why I don't use graduated filters on my landscapes. Here we go.
My name is Andy Hornby, photographer and vlogger. 15 years ago I started teaching myself photography. Today I travel the UK as a professional wedding photographer, landscape photographer and filmmaker. Learn from my experiences, my mistakes and my tips and advice. Join me on my photography adventures.
So I get asked all the time why I don't use graduated filters, and it's a touchy subject for some, because let me just put a disclaimer out there, I've got no beef against anyone who uses grads. It doesn't bother me if you use graduated filters. The fact that I don't shouldn't bother you, and if it does, this isn't the video for you because I'm probably going to upset you. But I have used graduated filters before. I had a set of leaf filters a long time ago. A, I dropped them. B, I found that on most of the landscapes and the cityscapes where I would need to use them, they weren't very useful for one major reason, and I'll explain that in a second. And for the last reason, Lightroom does exactly the same thing, only Lightroom does it easier and better. There's no difference from what I can tell. So for me, it doesn't make sense to buy really expensive filters when I've got Lightroom already. It can do exactly the same job, and personally I think it does it better. I'm sorry, that's going to upset a few people, but it's true. And in this video I'm going to show you why. So first of all, what I want to do is explain what graduated filters are and what they do. Essentially, when you take a picture, mainly landscapes, you're going to look at the whole exposure of your composition, and you're going to have to expose for the lightest part of your image, because that's what we do and that's what we need to do so that we can get a good exposure. Because if you blow out the highlights, there's a good chance you're not going to get back to detail. Essentially, you're going to be exposing for the sky, which makes most of the things on the ground, if you're shooting at sort of dusk or in the morning, very dark. You've seen my shots of the shipwreck, which is just behind you from where I am at the moment, and when I shoot that, I always expose for the sky, because you have to. If you don't expose for the sky, you're going to have a blown out sky and you won't get that detail back. So what I have to do is actually bring up the shadows in Lightroom and really pull that detail back from the shadows. But the idea of a graduated filter is to add a layer of darkness to the top part of your composition, which gradually diffuses into the foreground, which is why it's called a grad filter, because it gradually diffuses. And essentially you're balancing exposure between the sky and your foreground, or the bottom half of your image, which means you can expose a little bit better in camera for the entire image. And that is good and it works, but there's a big drawback with graduated filters, because you can't control what it filters, because you have a line, whether it's a hard grad, which means that the diffusion is really small and it's maybe just graduate between the foreground actually on the horizon, or it's a large soft graduated filter. If you have a big object, like for me, there's always something in my sky, it's going to do the effect to that. So in essence, if I'm shooting the crane, which is just over there, which I shot just a minute ago, and I put a graduated filter on the front of my lens to bring the darkness down in the sky, it's going to do the same thing for the crane. I can't control that in camera, but there's a neat trick in Lightroom that has recently been added into their graduated filter, which means I can mask out that, which means it only affects the background, which is the sky. It doesn't affect the objects. And this is what I'm going to show you today, and this is the reasons why I think it's not worth buying graduated filters anymore. Maybe back in the day we had no other option, even Lightroom didn't have a lot of control over graduated filters. You just had to put a filter on it, but nowadays we can control what that filter actually touches, if you like, in your composition, whether it touches just the sky or it touches just the foreground parts of your image. And that's what I'm going to show you. And honestly, I don't think it's worth buying graduated filters anymore. I'm sorry to you people out there that still use them and swear by them. That's fine, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. It's all subjective, right? And this is just my opinion, but I've got to tell you, if Lightroom can do it better, quicker and easier, what's the point of buying them? Sorry. So we're going to do a little bit of a shoot down here. I'm actually doing a photo walk. Again, I do these photo walks pretty much every week down to the shipwreck at the moment. There are loads of people that just want to come down here and shoot this thing because it's absolutely amazing. We've got a completely different composition again because the tide is right out. We're getting really nice reflections of the sun on the dirt and the mud and the sand. It looks pretty damn awesome. We're going to get some more pictures and I'll come back to you in a second, and I'm even going to take you back home in a minute and we're going to sit at the computer. I'm going to show exactly what a graduated filter in Lightroom can do. So let's get shooting. Let's do this. Okay, so that's it for another photo walk. Sun's gone down, shipwreck's still there. We'll come back, get some more of it another time. I was hoping for a little bit more colour in the sky. Just didn't happen, but that's okay. We'll come back. I'm now going to take you back to my living room and we're going to jump on the computer and I'm going to show you why you don't need a graduated filter. Let's do this. Whoop. Okay, welcome back. We are now at home in front of the computer. We are going to get started and I'm going to look at the picture I took down there. I'm going to show you why you don't necessarily need to buy or use a graduated filter on camera on location. You can do just the same thing a bit easier if you have Lightroom. We'll get on this, we'll get on the computer and I'll show you. Let's do that. So here we are in Lightroom. We have our picture imported. You see the where clipping mice is on there. It just tells me it's a little bit overexposed at the moment, but that's not a problem for us. What I can just do is just bring the exposure down just ever so slightly there. I'm actually going to bring the highlights down there. Okay, and do nothing else for it at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what a graduated filter would do on camera. So let's look at what a hard grad would do. This is a hard grad, something like that on the horizon in front of the camera. We'll just turn the effects off for a second because I've got a few effects on there. And all it does is brings exposure down in one area. Usually above you'd have it to bring the sky down because the sky is going to be lighter than your foreground, which balances the image out. You see the image is now balanced. It's not lighter in the sky than it is on the ground. It's all quite balanced. It's very, very nicely balanced image. But what that's done is affected everything above this line here is now affected by that filter, which includes things like this crane. Now if we were, for instance, on a mountain range and you didn't have a flat horizon, it's going to affect everything above this line. If we had even a soft grad, which is like this, you still see it's affecting quite a bit of the crane there, and everything above this line is going to be affected fully by that filter. But with Lightroom, we have a tool in Lightroom that can easily get rid of that. So let's put this back as a hard grad, about there. You can see everything above there is being affected. If I turn the graduated filter off for a second to there, you see that everything's being affected. But we have a nice little tool. You come down to the area down here, see where it says range mask. You want to go luminance. Now this is going to give you a range, so we can choose the range that is going to be affected by the mask. So if we pull that, it shows us, I'm actually holding down the Alt key. So if I hold down Alt, it shows us everything that is white is being affected by the filter. Everything that's dark or in shade is not being affected by the filter. So if we put that there, you see now that in fact the crane isn't being affected. If I showed you before, Look at the difference. Let me zoom in. Before the crane's affected, it's complete darkness, and now it's not so much. If I even open up the shadows a bit, and this is more than I would open up the shadows, this is just for effect. If I now go back to before the mask is put on, look at the difference now. Now there's quite a bit of detail coming back out in that crane, which you wouldn't have seen if we hadn't used the range mask. If we hadn't used this, you wouldn't have seen. What you may need to do is actually bump the exposure down even more to get the same effect as you would have done before. But effectively what we've now got a graduated filter that doesn't affect things we don't want it to affect, which is awesome. You can't do that with a graduated filter in front of your lens. If you've got a filter in front of your lens and you take the picture, that is going to affect everything above that graduation line, if you like, where we had here in the center. The graduation line there, everything above this line is being fully affected, and it's gradually, that's what I call a graduated filter, being unaffected down here. So everything above this line is being affected. But again, in Lightroom, you can mask out certain bits. It's awesome, it's fantastic. It's a new feature, it only came into effect about 3 months ago in an update that Lightroom did. And we've not seen anything like that before. When I see photographers, especially photographers who maybe are just learning, who have been given the idea that they need a graduated filter to get this effect, it's nonsense. They're being sold stuff by companies that they don't need. You don't need this, and they are a lot of money. Graduated filters, especially companies like Lee filters, are extortionate. Their prices are, I mean, they're good filters. Don't be wrong. I've used Lee before. They're really good filters, but you don't need the graduated filter. When you put those square filters in front of your lens, you are affecting the image in a way where you can't get that back afterwards. If you do it in Lightroom, you've got so much more control. It's easier, it's quicker, and it's cheaper. And my advice would be, especially if you're starting out in photography and you're looking to edit your pictures, don't buy graduated filters. Don't spend that kind of money. If you get down the line and you buy them and you're happy to use them, fine. Like I said, I've got no problem with people using graduated filters. I used to use them myself. I just don't use them anymore because I know you don't have to. If you've got Lightroom, you don't need them at all. Honestly, save yourself some money. So I hope this video was informative. I know there will be people out there who will be hating on me right now and are probably itching to hit that thumbs down. I hope you don't. I hope you understand why I've done this video, and I hope that you see the benefits of me giving this information to maybe learner photographers and photographers who are potentially looking to buy graduated filters who don't need to. And for those of you who've taken this video and you've really found it informative and it's given you the idea whether to buy them or not, I hope not, please hit a thumbs up, and if you've got any comments, please leave them down below. I'm always happy to get comments. Please keep them constructive. Soon, if you've got any questions or any queries, please drop me a comment. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be updated every time I upload a new video. Now, just to give you an idea of what's coming soon, I have a trip up and down the UK in a few weeks' time. I'm going to vlog the whole thing, probably going to do it in maybe 3 or 4 videos. Look out for that, it's going to be pretty amazing. I'm going to Cornwall, I'm going to North Wales, Cumbria, the Yorkshire Dales, East Yorkshire, back down the east side of the country. And if you've got any areas or any locations you think I should visit while I'm on this trip, please drop in the comments down below. I'm always happy to take advice from anyone who's shooting out there. And yeah, I hope you found this really, really informative. And until next time, keep shooting, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.